I would now like to welcome my next guest, as I know is in the studio, into the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center, former congressional candidate Russell Taub, Republican congressional candidate Russell Taub.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming into the studio today.
You're welcome. You're more than welcome.
Well, I wanted to reach out to you. You've always been very outspoken on any number of issues. Let's talk a little bit specifically, of course, about Charlottesville and what's happened since then, and your unique vantage point as a Jewish American.
So I've been on the phone this past weekend with a lot of Jewish leaders, a lot of different Jewish organizations, both political and non-political. We all condemned it. I wrote some of the letters myself. Many may not be on it, but it's okay. You know, we wrote it, and we basically condemned everything. We called it out for what it was. You know, we said it straight to the point. You know, we didn't sugarcoat it. We said the KKK, Nazis, white nationalism. We called it. We said alt left. You know, because they were there too. We have to give them that. You know, they were there. You know, both sides were responsible, but we included everything in one shot. You know, we didn't do it in pieces like the president did. You know, the Jewish community is right now split in two in Rhode Island. Half of us are happy with President Trump because he's very pro-Israel. It's the most pro-Israel administration in 8 years. And we're very happy about that. And then there's the other half, they're not happy with that. So it's very hard, you know, to manage. You know, I was attacked just before coming on the show by supporters of Aaron Regenberg, who was on the east side, saying, you know, that I shouldn't be speaking for the Jewish community. He should be speaking for the Jewish community. But it's the difference because me and Aaron differentiate on Jewish policy.
Well, it's not, you know, there's, as you said, it's just not homogeneous.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's very, you know, it's not, everybody thinks it's a very simple policy discussion. It's very complicated because there's different sects within the Jewish community. And we're all fighting within each other, unless it comes to the Jewish holidays, and maybe that's a long time. When it comes to politics, we're always fighting.
Why is this administration, in your opinion, the most pro-Israel? What are the steps that have been taken?
So, you know, President Trump is number one not a racist. Everybody says he's a racist, but he's not because, you know, look who's in his administration. You have Ivanka Trump and Jared, Orthodox Jewish community members. They go to temple Friday, Saturday. They walk to temple, more Orthodox Jews. If you're on the east side, you'll see them walking all the time. So the fact of the matter is when people said that he's racist against Jewish people, he's not. Many racists don't want to even shake the hands of Jewish people. So I never met a racist that would go, hey, Russell, high five. You know, no, come on, no. And so when they say that, it's very bad. President Trump's former special assistant was a Russian Jew who immigrated here, too. Okay, so it's another Jewish person who worked for. Half of the administration is Jewish. So you have, you know, all these people that work for him that are Jewish. So it's very hard for me, you know, his ambassadors that are going overseas are Jewish. You know, Lou Eisenberg, who just got Italy, another Jewish person. So for me to say, when people say he's anti-Israel, anti-Judaism, he's anti-Semitic to Jewish people, it's such garbage because his administration has more Jewish people. You know, I wrote an op-ed and I said there's more Jewish people working in this administration than the 8 years under Obama.
So what do you say to his remarks yesterday when he kind of took a step back from the scripted remarks that he made?
I was confused, disappointed. You know, I think on Saturday he should have had it all in one instead of just kind of broken apart. I'm with General Kelly when he did this to his face and was.
We've seen those pictures.
Yeah. He was so confused. I'm a little baffled myself. You know, I'm disappointed that President Trump did that on Monday. I was happy when he did his comments and he corrected his comments by adding the rest. I think that was great. But I think there's a divide right now. And, you know, I was a Kasich supporter before a Trump supporter, so I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I don't defend.
Kasich has been very outspoken.
Yeah, and I would agree with Kasich what he said today. He said the KKK, Nazi Party, white nationalism has no place in the Republican Party, let alone in America. And I agree with that 100%.
Do they have to hear that from the president, though? I mean, how did we get to a point that here we are in 2017?
Yeah.
That they are shouting, you know, we will not be replaced by, I'm paraphrasing, by Jews in 2017. Yeah. How did we get to this point?
Well, I tell everybody the truth. Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump opened the door to allow these people just to rise up. And unfortunately, it gave them, and now they have the platform to do so.
Do you think there's KKK supporters that are Bernie Sanders supporters?
You know, not really, no. I know.
Why is Bernie complicit?
Because Bernie has his group of supporters. You know, Linda Sarsour, who hates Jewish people, who calls for the mutilation of women on Twitter, is a big Bernie Sanders supporter. And she's actually, you know, she does not like Jewish people that don't kneel before her, basically. And she made it very clear to that when she did her rallies, the Women's March. And Linda Sarsour was even called out by CNN for being a racist. So for us, it's like, okay, so you have the two groups that are very local, Students for Justice for Palestine, who hate who hate me and a passion, that live right in Brown University on the east side, big supporters of Representative Aaron Regenberg, who is Jewish, by the way, too. You know, they hate me too, because I'm very pro-Israel. I'm against the nuclear Iran deal. I'm against BDS. Aaron Regenberg is the opposite. So for me, it's very hard for, you know, so these two groups exist now, and unfortunately, they're not going to go away anytime soon.
Now, you had written the piece several months ago. You said, I'm a Jewish American, and I support Bannon.
I do. I still do.
Talk with us a little bit about that, because people are pointing to Bannon and saying...
Calling him a racist.
Well, part and parcel with Breitbart and for everything that's happened. So talk with us about that vantage point you have.
So I met Mr. Bannon twice. I met him one time at a Jewish event. You know, he worked for a Jewish writer. So the fact of the matter is, when people say he's a racist, that's far from true. Because you may not get that, you may not in the media, you may not see that, but when you know, he shakes my hand. I shook his hand many times. He shakes the hand of Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner all the time. He's not afraid to do that. You know, he's, you know, like I said, racists don't like give hugs to Jewish people if they're against Jews. It does not physically happen in America. You know, it's like, oh, you know, the Nazis believe that we are diseased. So why would you want to give us a hug if we're diseased? That's the whole thing about Nazis. And you know, so I met him. I was with him at ZOA, the Zionist American Organization, which is a political organization, but it's not pick sides, well, just both sides. And I met him at AIPAC. So the fact of the matter is, you know, he wouldn't be going to these organizations and meeting with Jewish leaders and meeting with the Jewish community, and meeting with rabbis and meeting with everybody in the Jewish community to hear what they want if he was a racist.
So what now? We saw what happened in Charlottesville. We've seen the sort of 3 rounds of remarks from the president.
Yeah, it's. I can tell you, I watch a lot of CNN because I like to hear what they have to say. It's not going to go away for a while. I think it's going to, you know, the remainder of August, maybe into September, we're going to still talk about it, unless something explosive happens.
Now, you say you like to listen to CNN. You're
I
a
do.
Republican.
I do. I actually let, because Fox News tells me what I want to hear. Fox News says, yeah, the president's good, we like him, yay. Okay, I already know that. I got that part. Okay, I got the policy part. Okay, you know, we got the policy part. CNN, though, gives me the opposite viewpoint.
How important do you think that is? We've had people in here, Bob Wickham, who writes for us, has talked about that a lot. How important is do you think that people get outside of sort of their padded room, so to speak, and sort of get an alternative view and just to see where they're coming from?
Very important. I think it's very important because when I debate with people, and apparently I do a lot more of it now, and I'm not even in politics as much as I am now.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Right now. Hopefully I'll be running in the future. Not in 18, though. I'm not going to run in 18, though. But people debate me, and I always say, well, according to MSNBC, CNN, NBC, it's like, well, none of these guys like Republicans, so they go, well, maybe you're right, and then they go look it up. I use that as a way to help me understand what they're thinking about, too. So I could say, well, here's the alternative, and here's where I'm getting the information right from your source. Something that you're quoting, I'm saying, well, if you're using MSNBC, I'm going to use it, too. Joe Scarborough said this. He's on your show. He doesn't like the president. And I give that alternative, and it's a way for people to understand, oh, wait, hold on, let me take a step back and say, let me Google it, let me research it, and let me figure it out. That's what I do.
Where do we stand in this country in terms of moderates? You know, back in the day, there used to be the Mod Squad.
The JFK Squad, yeah.
But the Mod Squad, you know, just how polarized D.C. is in the rest of the country. Is there any room or need for moderates?
So I'm a conservative to a centrist kind of guy. I believe, you know, that's the reason why I went from Walker to Kasich, actually, because Walker is something like that, too, but in Wisconsin level. Wisconsin level. It's a little different here in Rhode Island because they have jobs going there, but we don't have anything coming here. But, you know, that's my little push, right? You know, moderates are being forced to pick a side. And bipartisanship does not exist in Rhode Island, let alone exist in the country anymore. And you know, you saw it, Cicilline very partisan, Jim Langevin very partisan, Jack Reed, White House. Jack Reed, who's supposed to be very bipartisan, very partisan now. You know, there's no, where is the checks and balance? It's not there anymore. The moderates have to now choose a side. And, you know, I actually tried to use that to my advantage last year. Do you want a progressive socialist congressman, or do you want the moderate congressman who believes in bipartisanship? Working together with both sides of the aisle to find that common ground. But people seem to not want that now. People seem to want to have resist or support.
Well, what did you think when you heard Senator Jack Reed's comments, the mic'd up comments that the president was crazy, and then even afterwards doubling down on the comments?
Yeah, you know, I think that was a very disrespectful thing of Jack Reed to say. I think for him to make fun of another colleague is even more rude and disrespectful for Jack Reed. I never, in 8 years of knowing Jack Reed from Rhode Island politics, I've never heard him say or insult someone like that. I think that was disrespectful, and I think the fact that he took so long to issue a statement about what he was just, no, come on, he got caught, he lost, game over, man, you lost, man, come on, you're guilty, you knew you said it on purpose, and you were making fun of him, and let's be honest, don't sugarcoat it, Jack Reed, I know how you think, we're not gonna play towards you, and I think it was disrespectful of Jack Reed to do that, and I hope he did apologize. But that I wouldn't know, though, because none of them want to talk to me anymore. I try to reach out to them to say, I just want to know what you think. How are you going to vote on this certain legislation? They don't want to talk to me.
So why sitting out 18? You ran in 16 against Congressman Cicilline, very vocal on any number of issues, still constantly sending out statements and press releases, so kind of led us to believe potentially maybe getting back in the ring.
Yeah, so
why the hiatus?
Yeah. So absolutely, it's a great question. I spent a lot of my own money. I'm 29 years old. And last time I ran, and I said, you know what, I'm going to take a break, go back to work, make money, be an advocate though. You can't just stop fighting, because then it means it shows a weakness that you just cut and run. And I'm not going to cut and run with David Cicilline. I think I bring, that's why I was very bipartisan. I brought a bipartisan message of growing the economy. Everybody likes growing the economy. Removing regulations. Who doesn't like to remove regulations for businesses? Being more pro-Israel with our strongest ally in the Middle East. Everybody likes that kind of stuff. But apparently not so in Rhode Island. And it was a difficult year. It was a unique year. I am going to run again. I want to see what happens with the census. I want to see if we're going to lose a congressman. I want to see what happens with the governor's race, because as you know, in 2020 we could be district. And you know how David Cicilline cut out his little district. Maybe that I could do that depending on whoever our governor is. Wink, wink. Kind of thing. Hopefully.
What do you think 18 looks like right now, especially on the GOP side? We have House Minority Leader Patricia Morgan behind us in the studio right now. Former Rep. Joe Trillo, chair of the Trump campaign. Mayor Fung, who is still not made an announcement yet.
Yeah, but I think it's coming. It'll come sooner than later. I'm a member of RGA, a member of the NRSC, a member of NRCC. Based on my Facebook, if you saw, I host a lot of members of Congress, not a lot of governors, maybe more members of Congress and senators, because my goal is to help President Trump with the majorities, to preserve our majorities. I'm very close to Governor Walker. I talk to him on a regular basis. I'm actually going to his retreat in Wisconsin to learn about what's going on for governor-wise, who's going to, what's he thinking, the mentality, the money. It's going to be very important, the money issue. We're talking about, I'm supporting Judge Flanders for U.S. Senate when he formally announces, hopefully.
When's he going to make an announcement?
I'm hoping soon. I don't know. He keeps telling me September, October, but he never makes up. For him, he has a great team, and you saw the dedication when he put in $100,000 of his own money. That says a lot. That's a statement saying, I'm in this. I'm putting, and he spent it. And the reason why I landed on him, he spent an hour with me on Israel and discussing foreign policy, and that's something that's really shows me dedication. But he didn't ask me for money. He didn't ask me for a donation. He made it very clear. I just want to talk to you about policy, and it was great. And I'm on the Senate Finance Committee for 4 other candidates: Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and I'm hoping to get onto Michigan. We'll see what happens with Michigan. But I'm helping those candidates because those are the states that Trump won. And we're going to do great things. I think we're going to win those seats because we're in that position to do so. Ohio's looking great, and like I said, I'm going to do everything I can from a activist standpoint until after 2018, and then we'll probably relook at the election.
Make a decision then. But here in Rhode Island, we'll still see statements issued by
you. You will absolutely. I will be vocal as much as I can on certain issues. Some issues don't pertain to just Rhode Island that I'm passionate in, so I don't like to waste time and talk about them. But the Jewish, I fight for the Jewish community that doesn't want to speak out or are afraid to speak out, because if they don't, it goes silent, and it's very hurtful to them. The Holocaust survivors who can't literally go speak out or can't go to the town halls. There's a handful of us going tonight to David Cicilline's town hall to ask him if he stands on a position tonight for Israel. We'll see if he answers it. Jim Langevin refused to answer it at his town hall in Narragansett, so we'll hopefully see.
Is it a general position?
It is. It's actually something that's been published actually on your site and on the Providence Journal. It's where do you stand on the anti-BDS?
Okay.
Are you going to boycott Israel? Do you believe in boycotting or not boycotting? Aaron Regenberg, State Senator Gail Golden, Josh Miller, three Democratic legislatures all refused to vote and offer a position. David Cicilline, well, hopefully he didn't offer a position last time, so that kind of says a lot, but hopefully he will offer one tonight.
We'll see what happens following tonight, but I appreciate your coming into the studio here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Russell Taub, we will be, I'm sure, talking in the coming weeks and months.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your coming in today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Russell.
Thank you.
H. Russell Taub, former congressional candidate, coming in today to give his perspective, again, former Republican congressional candidate, one of the voices in the Jewish American community here, talked a little bit about that, some of the differentiation between him and some others, but talked about what President Trump's statements had meant when he heard them, his reaction to them. Wanted to get him in here to get his vantage point on what's been happening from his, again, unique perspective. So I appreciate Russell coming into the studio here at Go